My name's Ryan. I'm 35, and for most of my adult life, I've believed that respect in a relationship isn't just about what's said. It's about what's silently allowed. My wife, Claire, and I had been married 6 years. We were steady, solid, not flashy, but real. Or at least I thought we were. Claire worked at a mid-sized marketing firm downtown. Her boss, Nathan, was one of those overconfident types who thought charm and authority were the same thing. I'd met him twice at company dinners. Both times, he'd shaken my hand with that extra squeeze, just enough to show he could. The first time, I let it slide. The second time, I noticed the way his hand lingered a little too long on Claire's shoulder when he introduced us. She brushed it off with a laugh, said, "Oh, that's just Nathan. He's touchy with everyone." I didn't say much. You learn, as a man, to pick your battles. But something about that stuck with me. Last Friday night, her company threw a big networking event at a downtown restaurant. Claire wanted me to come, said it'd be good for optics. I didn't really care for those kinds of things, but I went because she asked, and because I wanted to support her. She looked incredible that night. Elegant, confident, the kind of woman who could walk into any room and own it. When we arrived, she was immediately swept up in conversation with her coworkers. I got a drink, stayed close, nodded politely at people I didn't know. Then Nathan appeared, loud, smiling, acting like he owned the place. He was holding a glass of wine and laughing at something one of the interns said when his eyes landed on Claire. "Claire!" he boomed, stretching his arms wide. Before I could blink, he pulled her into a hug. Not a brief, professional hug, but a long, close one. Too close. His hand lingered around her waist, and she didn't exactly push him away. Instead, she laughed. Awkwardly, maybe, but not enough for anyone else to notice. But I noticed. For a second, the room felt like it had gone silent. My hand tightened around my glass. I watched as he leaned in and whispered something in her ear that made her smile. One of those polite, tense smiles people use when they're uncomfortable, but trying to pretend otherwise. I waited. I wanted her to step back, to set a boundary. She didn't. She looked over at me, almost as if to say, "It's fine. Don't make a scene." That look, that assumption that I'd just stand there and play along, was the moment something inside me switched off. I didn't raise my voice, didn't glare, didn't make a scene. I simply set my drink down, turned, and walked out. No dramatic words, no goodbye, just silence. The drive home was quiet, not because I was furious, but because I was done explaining basic respect. I didn't text her. I didn't wait up. I slept on my side of the bed and woke up early, made coffee, and went about my Saturday like any other day. Around 10 a.m., my phone started buzzing. First a text. "Ryan, please call me. I don't understand why you left like that." Then another. "It wasn't what you think. Please, can we talk?" I didn't reply. I wasn't interested in decoding apologies that came too late. At noon, she came home. Her makeup was smudged. Her eyes were red from crying. She said she hadn't slept. I stood in the kitchen, stirring sugar into my coffee, waiting. "Ryan," she said softly. "It was just a hug. He's my boss." It would have been awkward to pull away. I looked at her and said, "Claire, there's a difference between being polite and being complicit." She started crying again, saying I'd embarrassed her, that people were asking questions after I left. She said I'd overreacted, but I didn't feel angry. I felt calm, too calm, maybe, because the truth is I wasn't reacting. I was realizing how many times I'd watched her justify small things. The texts late at night that were just work. The compliments she brushed off but secretly enjoyed. The boundaries she said weren't worth making a big deal about. I wasn't jealous. I was tired. She begged me to listen, said she'd never meant to disrespect me, that Nathan was just overly friendly. I told her I'd think about things and went out for a walk. I didn't know then what would happen the next day, but I had a feeling the story wasn't over yet. Sunday morning came with that uneasy stillness you get when something's been left unsaid. The air in the house felt heavy, like even the walls were waiting for what came next. Claire hadn't come to bed the night before. I heard her moving around in the living room until late, probably rehearsing explanations in her head. When I got up, she was sitting on the couch with her phone in her hand, eyes red, voice small. "Ryan," she started. "Can we please talk?" I nodded and sat across from her. No anger, no rush, just quiet. She said she'd called Nathan that morning, told him his behavior had made me uncomfortable, and that she didn't want any more physical greetings. She said he'd apologized and told her he hadn't meant anything by it, but I didn't interrupt her. I wanted her to keep talking. Then she added something that changed the tone entirely. After I called him, he said I was overreacting. He told me maybe you were just insecure. I watched her eyes as she said it. There was something different in her face. Not defensiveness this time, but realization. She continued, her voice trembling. When I told him that what happened wasn't appropriate, he laughed. Said, "If your husband can't handle a hug, maybe he doesn't deserve you." And then he hung up. For a long moment we just sat there. That's when she broke down. "I didn't see it, Ryan. I thought he was being friendly, but I think he's been crossing lines for months. And I let it happen because I didn't want to make things awkward." Her words hit harder than I expected. Not because they excused anything, but because they were finally honest. She said he'd been texting her after hours, asking about her day, complimenting her outfits, using little emojis that she'd brushed off as harmless. "I didn't want to lose my job," she whispered. "So I ignored it. I thought if I didn't respond the same way, it wasn't wrong." I took a deep breath. "Claire, you can't control what someone else does, but you can control what you tolerate." She nodded, crying harder now. "You're right, and I'm sorry. I thought you were making a big deal out of nothing. But when you walked out, and I saw his reaction, I realized you were the only one in that room who respected me enough to say something without even saying a word. That line stayed with me. The only one who respected me enough to walk away." She quit her job 2 days later. No drama, no scene. Just a resignation email and a quiet goodbye. Her coworkers were surprised. Nathan didn't say a word. Apparently, a few others had started whispering about him too. For weeks afterward, things between us were different. Not broken, but fragile. Like a cracked mirror still reflecting something familiar. She was trying. Making eye contact. Asking about my day. Reaching for my hand. But there was a new kind of silence between us. The kind that comes after trust has been tested and barely survived. One night, as we sat on the porch watching the sun dip behind the trees, she said something I didn't expect. "I used to think respect meant not yelling, not fighting. But now I realize it's about how we protect each other when no one's watching." I looked at her, the woman I'd almost walked away from completely, and for the first time in weeks, I saw sincerity in her eyes. Not guilt, not fear, just understanding. "I never wanted to hurt you," she said. "I just didn't see what I was allowing." And I told her the truth. "I didn't leave that night to punish you. I left because I needed you to see what silence looks like when respect leaves the room." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. And for once, I didn't stop her from crying. Sometimes pain has to finish speaking before healing can begin. We're not perfect now. We still have quiet days. Still have moments where one of us hesitates before speaking. But there's a different kind of peace in our house now. A peace that comes from knowing we faced the truth and didn't run from it. Claire started freelancing after that. She said she didn't want to work anywhere that required her to laugh at someone else's disrespect just to fit in. I respected that. As for me, I learned that strength in a relationship isn't measured by how loud you can defend your partner, but by how calmly you can walk away when they forget who you are. The night at that restaurant didn't destroy our marriage. It revealed it. And sometimes, revelation is the only kind of rescue that actually lasts.